it's interesting. We're doing a lot of work with employers where there's been some rising concern about what they call failed success, right? Somebody goes into an upskilling training program with the idea that they want to get a higher paying or better job, and then they complete the program, right? Successfully go through it, and then kind of are like, wait a minute, I don't want to do this. That's not the track I wanted to go down, right? And then there's the successful failure that you talked about, which is a student taking an internship and realizing, like, actually, that's not what I want to do. I mean, those things are maybe as valuable as the how do I get better, experience on a track that I know I definitely want to go down. You mentioned NACE, Daniel, and I'm literally in the middle of getting ready to hit publish on a Forbes article based on their new employer survey that they just released last week, where one of the big highlights in that, or low light, depending on how you think about it, is that the percentage of employers who are screening for GPA has dropped in half in the last 5 years. So in 2018-19, it was about 73% of employers reported using GPA for screening candidates. That dropped to 37% this year, literally in half. And if you look at the chart, it's just like dropping like a rock. And the article I'm writing is about when GPA no longer matters, right? And inherently, I think what's underneath that big decline in GPA importance among employers is that they're looking for people who can do the job, and they want that to be demonstrated through real experience or skills-based assessment. So, this is an interesting one, right? Like, I mean, you could argue that the importance of internships, work experience of all forms, is going to skyrocket as we see this shift in employers saying, like, hey, this precious metric that educational institutions have used to evaluate students isn't really working for us anymore. I'm curious what, some of your thoughts are on that, right? I mean, is GPA still going to be part of the mix? Like, I would love to hear your thinking.
It's fantastic, and I'm smiling. I forget I'm on camera. I keep thinking it's like radio or something, so I should stop smiling. But I've been reading a very similar report, but with a different statistic. But I think it's saying something similar, that job postings for jobs with a bachelor's degree have dropped by 45% in 2022. So exactly the same thing. And again, this leads back to the existential crisis, if you want to be dramatic, or at least identity crisis, potentially for universities if we don't address this, where employers are looking for skills or experience, and that can be technical skills and also soft skills, or a combination of both, most likely. And if students don't have an on-equip for it, then they will go elsewhere, and others will fill the gap. So I think it does lead to opportunities like internships, virtual internships, which we think offers flexibility because it can be done around the course schedule. We Professional development certificates would be others. I think employers, I know that some are already doing it, like Google and IBM, will come into the space with their own professional development, micro credentials and certification, etc. AWS as another. My recommendation with virtual internships is that this should be embedded into the curriculum. We do that with Potsdam University as one example, all the way to Arizona State as another example, where this is embedded into the curriculum for academic credit. So the student is doing it alongside their degree. It's great for the student, it's great for the university, and ultimately it will be great for the employer as well. So I think that is the route to mitigate what otherwise will be a real issue if we don't start addressing it at scale.
I agree with you, Daniel. I think, employers have used the degree as a signal and your GPA, right? That was the signal that they were getting and pulling in talent. And if the signal is no longer working, they're looking for a good alternative. And one of those alternatives, because of the nature of a job or a career, is what your work experience is. It's the other thing they've looked at before. The question is going to be, how do you assess an internship? Then it becomes part of your transcript. There's an indicator that is equal to a GPA of the kind of employee you will be and the potential. And so I think that's a very intriguing question. On that note, what do you think is the next frontier for virtual internship? So what do you think the next 5 or 10 years look like in your mind?
Yeah, thanks for the question. So, on the one hand, we're painting a bleak overview of things. It is a tough world out there, and I believe, according to World Economic Forum, again, 85 million jobs will be displaced by machinery. On the other side, there are huge opportunities. 97 million new jobs being created in areas like cybersecurity, digital marketing, product development, customer success, data analytics, etc. So I think veering in that direction and helping students to align with the jobs of the future is definitely going to be critical for virtual internships. I think secondly, what I mentioned about integrating work experience into the curriculum. Brandon mentioned Northeastern and Drexel, and Canada as well has been great at this, but there's so many that aren't doing it. And we need to get that integrated into the curriculum. I think there are various demographics of users who will really benefit from virtual internships. All students per se benefit from it. I think international students who talk about employability as the primary driver for 92% of international students. Students on rural campuses, like our Potsdam relationship. Online schools where it fits in very nicely. And then also adult learners. Most MBAs now are being done online and by adults. And that sort of reskilling side of things as well is going to be hugely critical. So I think serving all of those various populations and doing it at scale so that we can truly create an offering that solves all of these issues and can be done globally and at scale.
Yeah, I mean, globally and at scale was, one of the reasons why Kaplan started working with virtual internships a little while back. We are supporting the recruitment of international students into US, UK, Australia, and New Zealand higher ed institutions, and these are students who are coming from all over the world, as you know, right? And then also dispersing after they graduate to, pretty much all over the world. And, the ability for them to have this type of option is really huge. You think about some of the restrictions in certain companies, in certain countries around the ability for a student to work, right? Or a non-citizen to work. I mean, there's just all kinds of hurdles that were especially problematic for international students. And for, many of those international students, the reason why they want to study abroad is because they're thinking about potentially careers abroad. Obviously, some come back to their home country, but anyway, we have really been impressed with, the ability to connect our international students to these experiences. And I think, when you step back and think about the global playing field that employers are on, right, competing for talent, not just within their country, but globally, this is really, I think, a bright future for virtual internships. We're also thrilled to be a new investor in virtual internships, and so obviously we're excited to see the growth of your work and really appreciate all the incredible services that you're providing both to employers and students that are part of the process.
Thanks, Brandon. And it goes two ways. From our side, we're ecstatic to be working with Kaplan. We've known the Kaplan team for a long time. We didn't take it lightly when looking at a strategic partner as we take things to the next level. But having known the team, known the quality, known the focus on academics, but also the sort of innovation and the look towards the future and the importance of career integration. And Brandon, your own background in this space, which I've known for some time as well, it was a very natural partner for us, and we're already proving it and paving the way. I know one program in particular that we've just launched with a university in the UK, helping Chinese students to that university. We had a huge uptake. Over 500 students from one course alone have wanted to combine the virtual internship program with the program offerings of Kaplan, and it gives them the best of both worlds. And early on in their trajectory, sets them up for what we would like to see as potential career success. So, fantastic timing to be working with Kaplan, and yeah, we appreciate it and looking forward to the next chapter.
Yeah, well, thanks and keep up the great work. We appreciate being on the show today, and we'll look forward to bringing you back on maybe next year. We'll do an annual check-in and update with you.
Amazing. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Daniel.
All right, thanks for tuning in, everybody. We'll catch you soon. Take care.